Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of CLX Foundry Live. I'm going to be the host and technical expert today. My name is Paul Steffens and with me is Zach Killingsworth, our master builder here. DJ is out again today. He is still feeling under the weather, but I think he'll be back next week. So hopefully we'll see him on Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing good today. What's up, Temperance? What's up, Shadow? Welcome in everybody. So today we have a pretty special build. We've got an AMD build. We've got the brand new Ryzen 7 9800X3D. This is available on our website right now, so you can order it if you would like. But starting out with our specs, we've obviously got our XT View in black here as our case. Our processor, like I mentioned before, is the AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D. To cool that, we've got our CLX Quench 360 AIO in black with RGB. And for our motherboard, this will be a first one for me. We got the Asus ROG Strix X670E-E gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. For our memory, we've got 2 sticks of XPG 16 gigabyte DDR5 6000 speed in black. This does have the RGB heat spreaders. And for our storage drive, we've got a single 2 terabyte ADATA 800 gold NVMe M.2 drive. For our video card, we have a PowerColor Radeon RX 7900 XTX, so it's 24 gig card, really high end on the Radeon side. For our case fans, we've got 6 of our Game DS Aeolus M2s in black. And for our power supply, we've got the Game DS Helios P2 850 watt 80 plus gold power supply. So we're gonna go ahead and get these side panels off this case and get rolling on the build. Hello Jimmy, how you doing?
Nolan?
Hello. So this is our XT View case. This does come in white as well. It's a Fantex case. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit smaller than the NV5, I would think. Still fits a full ATX chassis. I like this build. It comes with a built-in light strip there at the bottom. That's what this part is right here that you can see. I like this. To me, this is like the in-between of like a gaming rig and like a workstation rig, but it's really clean.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Hello, hello. Working but good. No smoking, how you doing? The 79800 X3D sold out super quickly, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. It's pretty popular. We're excited to get this thing going and run some tests ourselves, but it looks really good from what I've seen. Hey Joey, how you doing? Good to see you back in here. So this case does come with 3 Fantex fans in here. Now these fans are fine and they look good, but we're gonna throw in 6 of our Game DS Aeolus M2s here. We wanna max out the fans on this. And I like the M2s a little bit better. They've got another RGB ring around the outside of the fan and then the fan blades as well. Hey, that's awesome, Brady. Good to hear.
We have a Discord page that you can upload that to so everybody can see what you got.
Yeah, we'd love to see your setup. You'll see a lot of people posting their setups on there. We always like to see it. See what you're doing with the machine. Oh yeah, so first thing we do is just getting the case prepped. Now, since we are going to be using different fans in there, that's what Zach's working with now. These fans do have a typical fan header with an RGB, so we're getting all those cables out of the way, getting everything prepped, and then we'll move on to our motherboard. Jimmy, you uploaded yours on Tuesday. Awesome, nice. Awesome. All right, so getting into our motherboard, this is the Asus ROG Strix X870E-E gaming Wi-Fi. Now we have been using these Strix boards kind of a lot recently, and they've got a lot of new perks and features, on them that are pretty cool. So we'll see what this one has. Oh, that M.2 on the right looks totally different. Right? That is cool. So this is the new X870, obviously for the new Ryzen CPUs. Now this is still an AM5 socket. So if you have an AM5 build and you just want to upgrade your processor, you can keep that board and put the new processor in there. Kirschlong, Andrew, how y'all doing? I know, I hope DJ does start feeling better. I think he's got like the flu or something. I know his voice was kind of messed up and just not feeling great. They should have changed the storage to show kilobytes instead of gigabytes on the SSD. Yeah. What is that, 2 trillion? Is that what that is? We'll call it a gazillion. All right, so getting into our motherboard here, we're going to install our processor first. So like I said before, this is the AM5 socket. That's what these new CPUs are, still the AM5 socket, which I think is pretty nice. That way you don't have to get a brand new motherboard if you already have an AM5 socket. You can just keep it the same and upgrade your CPU. So on this, You want to make sure your arrows are in the right spot. Everything goes into place. Pretty straightforward from there. It's definitely a part of the build you want to take your time on, though. You don't want to bend any of those pins on the motherboard. Andrew, you may have missed the specs, but I'll go over them one more time while Zach's getting the AIO ready. So this is the brand new Ryzen 7 9800X3D for our processor. We've got the Asus ROG Strix X870E-E for our motherboard. Got 32 gigs of DDR5 6000 speed from XPG for our memory, a 2 terabyte M.2 NVMe drive, a Radeon RX 7900 XTX 24 gigabyte video card, 6 case fans, and an 850 watt power supply to go with that. So when we're getting our AIO ready, these AMD motherboards come with the backplate installed. That's what you saw Zach taking off those clips. That's what those clips were attached to. So we're still using that backplate that comes on this board, but we're going to be using our hardware that came with our AIO. So when you get an AIO, this liquid cooler right here, it typically comes with 4 to 5 different sets of hardware for all the different motherboard sockets. So we've got our AM5 hardware, that's what Zach's putting in right now, using the backplate that already comes on the board. We'll get these tightened down and get everything going.
For the
Is that Morse code?
For those who dare.
Oh my goodness! You can read Morse code?
Yeah, I did lots of Morse study.
What?
But if someone can fact check me, down here is Morse code.
That's sick. I wonder if they've ever had Morse code on any of their stuff, or if that's like brand new for this generation. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's this little bit right here. I think it's for those who dare, because that's what all of their literature is.
That is a nice touch. I like that. Even though
I saw that, I'm like dot dot dash dot dot dash dash dot. I know that. Mm-hmm. Come on, y'all. They missed out. They made it Morse. They should have made it binary. Binary is even longer.
Cool. Take up the whole little section there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a great question coming in. Do you ever have to change the liquid inside of the AIO, the liquid that does the cooling? No, you do not. So these AIOs come out of the box ready to go. You'll see Zach putting on the pump right now. These already have coolant in them. All you've got to do is grab the hardware that matches your motherboard socket, and you're good to go. I've been using the same AIO for 7-8 years now, something like that, and never had an issue with it. All your other components will probably go bad before the coolant in there does go bad. So no, you'll never have to like take the tubes off and empty the fluid out or add anything like that. AIOs are a great option to go with for cooling your processor because they provide excellent cooling and don't require much maintenance at all. That's true. You're a full-time PC builder, part-time decoder. So we've got our pump on, we're getting our mounting screws right on top of there. So now our AIO is mounted, pretty much ready to go. Now we've got a couple wires coming out of the AIO. So we have one to power the pump, and that typically gets plugged into a 4-pin fan header. You'll use your AIO pump header on your motherboard or your CPU pump. Most motherboards have an AIO pump now since AIOs are so common. And then the second cable is a 3-pin RGB connector so that we can plug that into the board and sync up all the RGBs. We like to run those cables kind of through those standoffs right there. They make just a really cleaner look, hide the cables nicely. This is a part you do want to be kind of careful on if you're going to do this with your build, because you don't want those wires to be too tight and potentially get in between the CPU and the pump themselves. That could definitely cause some issues. There's an AIO that just came out that is serviceable with extra fluids. Can't remember the manufacturer. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I think I personally wouldn't want something that I would have to do maintenance on, but I think a caveat to that would be if they had like clear tubes and you could pick different fluids and then like drain it out and add new ones, that would be cool. I don't know. I'm sure that there's like clear tube AIOs out there, but I haven't seen one.
The button is the start button.
Yeah, we got a start button on the motherboard. All right, so our motherboard I/O, that's what we're looking at right here. So at the top, we've got our HDMI video output. Below that,
whoa, what the heck? Do you see that?
40 gig USB one.
What?
Woo. Yeah, this has some awesome USB ports
What?
on there. So you can see a whole ton of Type-Cs. Obviously, that top one is going to be insanely fast. Then we've got about 10 of our other USB ports. Got some clear CMOS buttons. What is that, a 5 gig LAN port on this as well? 5 gig LAN port, Ethernet port down there. We got Wi-Fi 7 on board here. Those are our antenna ports right there. And then our audio suite below that.
That's insane. So that's like a 20 gig here. That's a 10 gig. That's a 40. And that's a 40. I wonder what the DP like literature means. Display port for like VR stuff?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Hey Vindiq, how you doing? It's the new AMD Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and AMD 4 5 socket. It is a 5 socket. Yes, you are right.
Looks like I'll be doing some literature reading when we get done.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious.
This processor seems to have pretty good performance just from the little bit of stuff that I've read and watched today. I haven't actually got to test any of it, but that's what we'll do with this one. The stuff that I've seen that's a little bit different with their 3D technology in this, so that came out a couple generations ago, and that's where they would stack the cache on top of the CPU die, that hence the 3D. So it gave them a larger surface area, which allows for more cache, which is always great. That's the memory that your CPU looks to first. That's on the CPU die. Now with this, I believe they reversed it, so your cache is on the bottom with your CPU die on the top, and that gives you better thermals. So kind of a big change, but not really noticeable from the outside, I think. So we'll see what it looks like in testing.
It's pretty crazy when you can like layer the stuff inside and that's
right.
How
It's all right there. Andrew, at what point do you think AM4 is going to be outdated to the point of having to upgrade to AM5? So that's really going to depend on what you're doing with your system. There is a ton of great AM4 CPUs out there, so I think you're fine for at least a few years to not upgrade. That being said, if you want the latest and greatest tech and you're doing really high processing, high performance things with your computers, then you might want to upgrade, but AM4 is still pretty solid. So we're getting our fans mounted to our AIO radiator here. That's what Zach's doing. We like to do all of this outside of the case just because it gives us so much more room to work with. It's way easier to mount these fans on your radiator before having your radiator installed in the case. We have these mounted in the way that we'll be pushing air through the radiator. So air is going to be coming into the part that you're seeing right here, pushing air through the radiator and coming out the top of the case. Most of the time, that's how you want to put fans on your radiator. They can get more air through that radiator by pushing air through rather than pulling. So if we had them on the opposite way, and then if you've got room in your budget, room in your case, you can do a push pull and have them on both sides. Isn't AMD also making new AM4 processors as well? Not that I know of, as far as like new models and stuff. I can't really speak to what they're producing, but I believe all their new stuff's going to be AM5. And I'm sure we'll see. I don't know if Threadripper or Epic is like totally gone or anything, but it's been a while since I've seen some. So
I would like to see an Epic.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen one. It's just cool to see the CPU that's huge.
That's like the size of like a cell phone. An old cell phone. Or like an old iPod. Like a shuffle. Mm-hmm. Shuffle with the screen. You're like, what?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so we got a question, a really good question. What do we recommend for a gaming PC? Well, of course, one of ours to start off with. But really, it's about what you're gaming and what resolutions you're gaming at. So if you're just playing most titles out there at 1080, you can get away with like an entry level or a mid-tier build that's going to perform really well, give you good frame rates at 1080p. And then after that, if you want to game in 2K, 4K, something like that, then you might want to upgrade your video card or some other specs on there. So really it just comes down to what you build or what you're planning on doing with it. I typically recommend starting out with either AMD Ryzen 5 or Intel 5. Paired with like a 4060 or something in that range, just to get you started, and then you can adjust as needed from there with what capacity of hard drives or storage you want to have. All right, so we're going to go to our memory next. We've got 2 sticks of XPG Lancer Blade DDR5 6000 speed in black with RGB. If you've watched the show, this is the memory that we also used in our NV5 earlier this week. Really solid memory here. We've done a lot with XPG. I think their stuff looks really nice and it performs great too. I haven't had any issues with any XPG memory. All right, over on the TikTok side, Crazy White Boy, what do you recommend to have to play 4K gaming? So 4K gaming is obviously going to be more intensive than like 1080 or 2K. So you're going to want a higher end video card there paired with mid to high end processor. I'd probably recommend going Ryzen 7 or Intel i7 paired with like a 4080 is probably what I would pick. You could probably get away with 4070 depending on what titles, but I'd probably go with if you're looking at 4K gaming, you're looking at something pretty high, and I'd probably go like 4080 or higher, or Radeon 7800 XTX or 7900 XT or higher. Yeah, the 4070 Super TI Super is also a good choice there.
Is that one? I guess that's one. All right, cool. Okay, that is too deep.
So right here, is this an M.2 as well? So
yes,
we've got M.2,
I unscrewed
M.2,
that thinking
M.2.
that was, separate from this one, but apparently they are
Oh, it's all one piece?
connected. Yeah.
Whoa, okay, yeah, they definitely look like separate covers to me.
Well, I was kind of thrown off that you just push for this one.
That's so cool.
And then these are, okay, yep.
That is a dual piece, okay. So this is a little interesting here, something that we're just now starting to see on the new Asus boards. So Zach's going to go ahead and get our M.2 in. So something a little unique here is it's kind of a toolless design as far as getting your M.2 in. Obviously we need a screwdriver to get the heat sinks off, but once we get it in here, there's this new slider that kind of locks into place for the M.2, which is cool. And then this one that you've got in your hand there, Zach, that one is pretty nifty as well.
It has mounting holes for a fan.
Whoa, okay. I have seen some
We're gonna
smaller
have to do
fans.
some literature on this motherboard. This is insane. Okay.
We got all brand new stuff.
Take off the right peel.
Yeah, take off the right peel. So when you're installing an M.2 in your system, if you've got a brand new motherboard, you're pulling your heat shields off, you'll see these blue plastic pieces, and these are protecting the thermal pads that are on there. So that's what that plastic is covering. What you're seeing Zach peel off, those little gray things under the plastic are thermal pads, and essentially those function like thermal paste. It provides a good heat transfer between the actual M.2 drive and the heat shield itself. Going back over here to the TikTok side, do they make machines to see if you have a bad motherboard or CPU? So I'm sure that there are like things that you could put that in, but really for me the best way is just get it. Like, it's kind of hard if you can't get video, but we have a bunch of spare parts here, so we like to just have a known good. If we're checking a processor, put a known good processor in there, and then you can kind of test everything with a motherboard that way. All right, we will get to these questions. Andrew, hello Cool Mind, how you doing? Can we debate the cost of used versus new being that far apart? Well, there is a big difference, but that's because buying a used part is kind of, you're definitely rolling the dice doing that. It's something, you can get a good deal on it and maybe it'll work forever and it's great, but buying computer parts, I typically would not buy them used unless they were from like a buddy I know and trusted and knew the parts were good. If you are going to do that, say you meet somebody on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever, you want to see those parts working in person, which can be kind of hard if you're like meeting up at a Quick Trip or something like that, but you want to make sure
meet
it's
them
good
at Buc-ee's,
before you get that money. Yeah.
Get a drink and meal. Get you a t-shirt. Okay. That's right. We won't, because it's going to be covering up stuff. Maybe. No? You might be able to, Paul, with the anti-sag.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the anti-sag bracket.
Yeah.
So with the heat shields on this M.2, we're kind of discussing putting an anti-sag bracket in this. So this system will definitely need one. We have a couple of the ones that mount to our case here. We've got a couple other options back at our back in the warehouse that we might use as well. But we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. Will you be able to build a PC without any experience? Yes, you can build a PC without any experience. Just take your time. The most careful parts of the build are going to be installing that CPU into the CPU socket on your motherboard. And then it's pretty easy to mount the motherboard to the case. You just want to make sure you have your standoffs in all the right places. So that's what our motherboard is actually sitting on. It's not like it's screwing in directly to the chassis. They're these standoffs that typically come pre-installed if you buy a case, but you want to make sure those line up with your motherboard mounting holes. Yeah, if you have any questions with like an order update status, you can definitely reach out to us on support. That would be the best way to get a quick answer for your question. Did the new CPUs sell out quick? I'm not sure. Have they sold out already? We already sold out? We haven't even been live that long. That would be...
Yeah, man, it's like opening. It's like going to a midnight release of Halo 2 or Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
Modern Warfare, the OG, and you're like, oh man, they sold out. Should pre-order.
Deadshot91, how you doing? Welcome back. Good to see you. Cool Mind, you feel like I recognize your voice with a black t-shirt. Maybe I'm tripping or not from tech support.
Yeah.
Well, I am not in the support department here. I'm on the operations side. But maybe we've gamed together. Over on the TikTok side, you are allowed to ask it. We are located in Wichita, Kansas, right in the middle of the country. So we get good ship times to everywhere. We do ship to Canada a whole bunch and all across the world too. Trippin' Wave over on TikTok, how you doing? You got an i7 RTX 4060, 32 gigs of memory and 1 terabyte storage. Is that good? Yeah, that is good. You got a solid setup for gaming there. I'd say if you're, in a few years when you're looking to upgrade, I'd start with the video card there. The i7 and 32 gigs of memory is going to last you a very long time. So will that 4060, but if you were going to upgrade, that would be the part I would upgrade first. They're already being scalped on Amazon. What? Darn those scalpers.
I thought we were done with that.
You hate it on where you live. There's no micro center, anything that has PC parts. Oh no. I don't know where the closest micro center to us is. We sell our PCs at micro center. Yeah, I think Dallas. Kansas City might have one. Not sure.
Was there one in Vegas? We went to Vegas that one time.
Ooh, yeah. Might have been. There had to be something as far as PC parts in Vegas. How else are they going to power that sphere?
Right. Could you imagine having like a LED go down? No! Radio Shack! It's closed!
Yeah. Overland Park has a micro center. So yeah, that would probably be the close one to us. I've actually never been inside of a micro center.
I have. It's got to be a lot like IKEA, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's just, you stop in because you're there, because you don't live near one. And you're like, what is this experience I need to have?
Mm-hmm. Like, put me on one of the shipping trucks when we ship our systems there. I'm going to go check it out.
That'd be sick.
You have your guys' PC? Awesome. Oh, over on the TikTok side, Benny G, how you doing? IQ Link fans worth it? Question mark. They are pretty cool fans. I do like how they all chain into each other. So if you want to spend the money on them, they're good fans. It's up to you if you want to spend the money or not, though. 7800X3 price on Amazon are back down to $450. Okay. Ooh, Tapwater Steve says IQ never worth it. Let's see an argument on
I
the
was
TikTok
trying
side.
to nonchalantly put my head down, but that is based 100% solely on the fact that building is a little bit different than maintaining. So.
Okay, well let's talk about it. So if you're going to get the IQ fans, you probably want your other components to be Corsair.
Correct.
That's probably what we would say. And really it goes for most brands of anything with RGB. When you're combining brands, and a lot of our customers do, there's nothing wrong with it. We build it all the time, but if you're building it at home, it can be a little bit more challenging. You might need other adapters that you might not have access to. Let's say you've got Corsair fans, Fantex light strips, Game DS.
Linley case.
Yeah, a Linley case. So getting all that RGB to sync together can be kind of tough when you have a bunch of different brands inside your build. It's definitely doable, but if you go with like the same brand on all your RGB, so let's say, you know, Corsair AIO, Corsair fans, Corsair light strips, they all plug into each other really nicely. And that goes the same for everything.
Oh,
yeah. So that can just make your life easier as far as getting all this stuff set up. Now, if you don't care about programming your RGB, you just want it in rainbow all the time.
Game DSM 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't care about RGB.
True. Yeah. The M3s are a lot more
so
subtle,
pretty.
which is nice.
They
and you can
are
always
so
turn the RGBs off, and then they just look like regular case fans. So. Cool Mind 7s asks, which is better, the Ryzen 7 9800X3D or the 7800X3D? So I'm going to say the 9800X3D. It's got higher clock speeds. I think the new way they're doing their 3D cache is going to be better. All this being said, I haven't actually tested a 9800X3D yet myself. That's what we'll be doing with this build. But I'm sure that, you know, it's going to perform better than their previous 7800X3D. 7800X3D, still a banging processor though. Noctua fans then? Well, Noctua is always a great option for fans. Their color palette is a little strange, but it's kind of cool. But yeah, the Noctua always makes great cooling solutions. That is for sure.
Real good companies out there.
We've used their air coolers, I think, quite a bit. We definitely use their fans and stuff.
I install quite a few of their low-profile heat sinks in our workstations and some servers. I do like them a lot. We do like them because they are really quiet and they move lots of air for those smaller cases that really don't have external fans moving air through it. They really can push that power of cooling the system down.
For sure, yeah, that is a good point. If you've got a small case and you don't have a lot of options for case fans, you definitely want to make sure you get a good cooler. You wish you knew more about PC parts when buying? Hey, well, that's what we're here for. You guys got any questions, you can ask us.
Well, that's the perfect thing about getting a PC. You get to upgrade it over time. That is a perk, a PC perk.
True. Alrighty, so we're getting a little bit into cable management here. Zach's managing our case cables. So we like to break our tie-ups down into typically 3 different sections where we start with our case cables. So what that is all these coming out of the top here for our top I/O. So power button, reset button, our USB ports. We also have a Type-C on this case and a headset and mic port as well. So we're getting all those things managed. It's a lot easier to plug those into your motherboard, manage those cables before you install everything else, because then you won't have a huge rat's nest of wires to work with. So after this, we'll install our fans in the case, and then we can work through those, and then we'll move on to our power supply at the end.
Whichever one can fit it.
Any best place to sell a PC? Or if you're wanting to sell your PC,
Craigslist.
yeah, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, I don't know. Take it to the pawn shop. Spray paint 5090 on that video card. There you go.
If you're like trying to sell to make a profit, one of those places. If you're just wanting to get rid of some tech components, you can donate to like a school that has a tech program, because we have personally built was it like 10 or a dozen systems that went to a computer camp, and we just kind of put most of the things together, but like it was
let the students
they got to plug in a bunch of stuff. Some high school tech lab might enjoy having some old hardware that they can tinker with, so that it's not brand new stuff that is going to get used and abused or broke. But maybe ask around locally if there's a AV club that wants some more tech, or a high school teacher that needs a extra computer that they can show their kids how to do stuff with. Yeah.
Gunsmoke 5277 on the TikTok side. You were looking at an i7 14700 KF 32 gig with the RTX 4070 Ti Super 16 gig for 2K. I have to, that's a good build right there. I'd have to look at kind of the whole spec list to see on the price there, but you can kind of just look that up. All right, so case cables are managed. Now we're going to move on to our fans. So it looks like we're going to start with our rear exhaust fan here. Is that right, Zach?
Yeah.
And then we've got 2 more to put in. So this XT View case is a little, I don't want to say it's unique in the fact that we put fans here, but the way that this is set up is a little different for this. So we're going to have our main intake fans right here, and then we've obviously got our exhaust at the top and at the rear. You just game? Yeah, no, that's a great setup for gaming for sure, Gunsmoke. So I'm going to go ahead and get our power supply out of the box while you're installing those fans, Zach. So for our power supply, we've got the GameDS Helios P2 850 watt 80 plus gold non-modular power supply. So for non-modular power supplies, all of our cables come pre-soldered in to the brick itself. So when you get out of the box, it'll look something like this. Now there are modular versions of power supplies, which all the cables are not soldered in. They have ports on both ends, so you just plug in what you need, and then you've got the rest, if you upgrade later on or you need them later. Now one of the challenges with a a non-modular power supply like what we have here is there's going to be some of these cables that we don't use, so we're going to be bundling those up and tucking them away in the build. But these cables can be a little kind of mixed up and kind of a mess when you get it out fresh out the box, so I always like to kind of straighten these out before just throwing it into the system. It's a good way to figure out what we need to power this system and get those kind of separated. So I like to just start at the base of the box, kind of grab the tail end of there and just work your way through the mess. Captain Stickybeard, y'all not doing giveaways anymore? We will be doing more giveaways to be determined. So stay tuned. That's what I'll say. You guys ever do RTS units on the stream, or are they always customs? No, we've definitely done RTS units on stream before. What Andrew's referring to there are ready to ship systems. A lot of people might refer to them as pre-builds. Those are systems that we build. They're typically our more popular SKUs that we build and have prepped. That way, if you order one, we can ship it out same day or next day, get it to you pretty quickly. All of those RTS systems, the ready to ships, they get treated the exact same like all of our custom builds. Same people build them, test them, go through QA, all that stuff. We just get them a little bit ready, or we get them ready and boxed in the warehouse. That way, if you order one, you don't have to wait for it to be built. We're actually working on a ton of those right now, prepping for the holidays.
We are elves. We are elves.
Which case has the best to cool air? I mean, fan face towards GPU. So there is a lot of good cases out there for cooling. Now, if you're primarily concerned with cooling your GPU, a lot of the cases that have the intakes on the bottom are a good choice, because that air is going to blast directly onto your video card. An MV7 is a pretty large case, but that would be one that's really good at cooling that video card. A lot of the Leon Lee O11s do that as well. There's a whole bunch of different options out there. So for these fans, what Zach's working on right here is plugging in our GameDS fans. So these are RGB fans. They do have RGB around the ring and in the fan blades, and they are all controlled with this RGB controller box. So they have proprietary connectors that plug into this box. We can stick this box kind of wherever we see fit in the case, whatever we think is going to look good. And then that can all be controlled via a remote, or we can tie it into the motherboard, and you can use the case buttons or motherboard software as well. You look crusty on TikTok. Can you have a pre-built? Yes, you can. You just have to buy it.
Where can you find pre-builds at, Paul? Because we say pre-builds, but you also said those are our highest selling SKUs. So like if people are at, we were just talking about Micro Center earlier. What system are they finding at Micro Center?
So we've got a whole bunch of different SKUs at Micro Center. We got them at Best Buys. We got them all over the place. So we like to offer a good variety of options for any entry level, mid tier, high end, and then like extreme high end. We can actually go to our RTS page on our website. You guys can see it right here. So these are just the SKUs that we have in stock right now. We will add more to it as time goes on. So you can see here we have them all flagged as entry level, mid-range, high performance, and ultra high performance. So you can see the specs there pretty quickly, and you can go into that if you want to learn more about those. But these are all systems that we have. You order them today, we're going to ship it out either today or tomorrow. It's going to get to your system very fast. These all get built by the same people. Zach's probably built a ton of those that are in stock right now. They're tested, ready to go, ready to ship to you. You can also use that filter that you saw on the side of the screen there. You can pick out what games you want to see and see what FPSs those systems will get. Currently, you have on different sides, your GPU is alone, like saying, guys, I'm dying with heat, help me, man. Well, as long as you've got some fans in your PC where the case was designed to have those fans, it's going to cool pretty well. Just because you don't have a fan on the bottom of your case blowing directly on your video card doesn't mean it's not staying cool. So each of these fan hubs that we've got our fans plugged into, the fan controller, can hold 8 fans on the GameDS side. Now this case has 6, so we've got 2 open slots there. But you'll see us do some builds that have 9, 10, even 12 fans. With these fan controllers, you can daisy chain them together and plug them all in. That way they're all synced up at the same time. It's kind of a nice thing about the GameDS fan controllers. I like that. So anything special that you do, Zach, when you're plugging those fans into the fan controller box?
So with these guys, yes, because this is a linear hub, so everything has to be plugged in order. You have to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. Whereas like Thermaltake hubs, you can and Corsair hubs, you can just plug the fans in anywhere because those use their big software. That is how the computer can read, and so it doesn't matter how they're plugged in. But I still like plugging everything in order anyway because it's anarchy and chaos if you don't. And why would you wish that on anybody wanting to crack open the back of your computer and work on it for you? Ooh. So with the GameDS, I like starting as this exhaust fan this fan is always fan 1. No matter what computer I'm building, it always gets plugged into spot 1, and then we go fan 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there was a third fan, that'd be 7. If there are fans on the bottom, that'd be 8, 9, 10. This is a circle, so I just like completing from here because the cool thing about the GameDS hubs is you can control everything via a remote, and they have pre-calibrated color modes, and one of those modes is a snake mode. So like this fan lights up, and this fan lights up, and it like goes around the whole system, and when you have all of that plugged in, it looks super cool.
I do like that.
It looks
watching
super
the light
cool
go all around.
Yeah. So some hubs, it doesn't matter. I still like plugging them in order, just because if you ever have to get into the actual cables, if fan 3 is dead, I don't need to mess with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Yep. I can just go straight to fan 3 because I know that it's plugged in right here. So it just makes it a lot easier in a troubleshooting aspect. Fans kind of are the funky thing of not color or not spinning, and it's, you know, sometimes it's just not fully plugged in all the way, and by knowing fan 3 is spinning but not glowing, I can just like come here and push it in, and that might fix it. So that's just, I always walk around a fan hub because it makes troubleshooting a lot easier.
Yeah, I think it's such a good idea. These RGB connectors, they're kind of proprietary to each brand on what they do, and they can be finicky sometimes. So it's way easier, like Zach said, if fan 3 is spinning but doesn't have lights, well, he doesn't have to go through every one on the box. He just knows it's fan 3 on the box. It's a nice little tip to do. Cool Minds asks Leon Lee, 011D Evo RGB ATX mid tower. Does this have bottom fan options? Yes, it does. We build a ton of those. Yeah, that is a good option.
Evo RGB is a very nice case. Yes, it does have fans on all corners but the front. The front is just the back side.
And one dash over on the kick side, you think your PC sits around 31 Celsius while gaming and streaming? Is that too hot? No, that is not too hot. That is a comfortable temperature for sure.
Best pre-built under 1.5. Oh man, there's so many good options.
We've got a lot of good options for under a K and under 1.5.
Oh yeah.
Like we just showed there, if you go to clxgaming.com, you can look at our RTSs there. You can sort by price, you can sort by
game, if you have a specific.
So we've got it right here. So for that price range, you're going to be looking at entry level or mid range. So there's a lot of options we've got there for you. Different storage drives, different RAM capacities, all that stuff on there. So there's a ton of good options that can fit your budget there. And keep in mind, if you buy one of our PCs, you do get lifetime labor and tech support. So you can always, 10 years later down the road, it's time to upgrade your PC, you can reach out to us, whether you're going to buy the part from us or somewhere else. We'll help you get set up.
Don't know on that one,
Honda for life. All over on the TikToks, you were on Amazon, found your computer on there, and on the description it says 3060, but it's 4060. Yeah, we'd have to see that exact listing. Sometimes though, if that 3060 goes out and it still says that, we put a 4060 in it, just a nice little bonus for you. One Dash asks, do you guys have remote computer tech for your computer issue? I have a problem. Yes, we can. If you've got any issues, just reach out to our support staff. They are amazing, best in the biz. Pretty much all of them are gamers like all of us, so you tell them what game you're playing, what's going on. We can definitely help you out. Your Wi-Fi speeds are 1 gig flat, and when you download anything, you only get 60 megabits. There's a lot that could be going on there, so it's kind of hard for us to troubleshoot right here without having the PC in front of us, but there's a lot going on with that. All right, so while Zach's getting...
That's why I don't trust Wi-Fi. That's why I always hard plug everything. Direct port, baby. Give me that gigabit.
We've got a drop ceiling in our basement where my PC is at, and that's where like the router is, and it was so easy to just run an Ethernet cable along the drop ceiling. It's so nice getting that all set up. All right, so getting into our video card here, we've got the Power Color Radeon RX 7900 XTX. This is an awesome card from Radeon and Power Color. 24 gigs of VRAM on this.
This isn't the Hellhound, is it? It is the Hellhound! Oh man, when I heard you and Ahmad talking about it earlier, I was like, oh, I hope it's the Hellhound.
Yeah. I like Power Color as a brand for the Radeon cards. So here we are. We'll make sure all the plastic is off this if it came with any. Sometimes they come with a little plastic on top of these. Looks like we don't have. I don't want to peel it too hard and damage those stickers. But so this is our card here. I really like this. I like the clear fan blade. It's going to light up nicely. We've got two 8-pin power connectors for this, which I like. Easy to do. Cool little back plate on there. I'm sure that's going to light up as well. For our video outputs, we've got one HDMI and 3 DisplayPort, which is pretty standard for most video cards now.
Back in 2011, that was reversed.
True. Yeah, true. More HDMIs than
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, you had 3 HDMIs and 1 DisplayPort, and you're like, what's this DisplayPort stuff?
Uh-huh.
Like, it's so new.
I would always confuse the DisplayPort for HDMI. It looks so similar looking at them until you're seeing a few of them and know the difference. What do you guys think of the new GPU coming up? Well, I can't really give you like a good review or anything on it until we test it, but I'm sure they're going to be better than the previous cards. As to how much better, we'll just have to wait and see. So Zach, you've already managed that power supply pretty quickly. We got that inside of our case. You probably saw Zach bundling up the cables that we won't need. So this comes with some extra SATAs, some extra Molexes on there that we're not using for this build, but they are there for if you ever want to upgrade. This case has a nice bay in the bottom in front of the power supply to store those extra cables. So.
And this power supply does come with the 12-volt high power 16-pin cable pre-soldered in with it. So that is nice that you don't have to use a dongle if you are on the green side of the graphics.
Yeah, that is. We like to see a lot of the power supply companies include that cable, whether it's modular or pre-soldered in like this one for a non-modular.
But I'm more impressed that this card has only 2 ports, you say?
2 ports, yeah, 2 8-pins, yep.
2 8-pins, and it's a 24 gigabyte card.
I don't know if I've seen a 7900 XTX with 3 powers. They probably exist.
I think like the early edition ones, yeah, because that's why I'm like so shocked lately. Is like they're pulling it off, man. Like they're getting really good power out of.
This card also does have an LED switch. It's really hard to see because it's so small, but it's right next to our power connector. So I believe it probably goes. What did we say? From
cyan to off, and then purple.
Purple. That's right.
That's why I like that card because it looks so good.
Cool mind, you're picking PC parts on the website. Name PC part picker right now, but you're having little issues. What kind of issues are you having? PC part picker is usually a pretty good website to use if you're going to build it on your own. You could always, build it on our website.
We build things, do stuffs.
All day, every day.
Every day we're plugging cables.
So we got 2 SATA power connections on this.
Only
one for the case,
2.
one for
the case because it has that light strip on it.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And then our fan hub. In this case, because it does have a I'm just gonna call it a full power shroud because the power shroud goes all the way. Some cases like the NV5, it cuts off and doesn't go all the way. So with this one, man, I completely forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, you can have all of your stuff just easily tucked underneath there. Super nice. Really organized.
Joey Wheels, okay, a question or two for you guys. When AMD released the 5000 series CPUs, they bragged about SAM, Smart Access Memory, when using AMD CPUs and GPUs together. Is that still a thing today with current AMD CPUs and GPUs? I would believe so. This will be my first run at a Team Red build on the 9800X3D since it just came out, so I don't want to say yes and then be wrong on that. But yeah, typically, AMD CPUs and GPUs are obviously going to talk well together. That being said, the AMD CPUs do pair just fine with NVIDIA cards as well.
That's where I was going with it. That's where I was going with it. I had to stop and think because I went back to the back. Okay, back to the front side where I was initially talking and then got distracted by the back side. ADD.
Ooh, distracted by the back
cool.
Side.
Hey. All right, so we have a full power shroud here. Some companies have been installing this nifty little hole. I'm gonna angle it here. So we've got this hole here. This is for our VGA cables. So instead of having to bring a cable from the backside or the bottom, they've been kind of cutting a hole in the shroud and allowing the cables to be managed that way, making it look a lot cleaner on the inside of the system and the back of the system, because you're taking these cables and not routing them on top of the graphics card or under the graphics card, and they're like reaching all the way from the back. No, it's just like plugged in right there, right there.
Yeah, it looks
That's
nice
what I was
doing
thinking
that.
about. Bam.
Oh yeah.
Brain power. This is a triple.
So this is, what Zach's looking at right now is the slots that this card is going to take up. So this is a triple slot, so it's going to take up 3 slots on the back of our case. So we're going to take off those slot covers right now. You can toss these or keep them if you want to keep them. If you think you're going to upgrade later, it's kind of up to you what you decide to do with them. But we have to get these out of the way so that our card can actually go into that slot. Another thing to keep in mind when you're getting your video card installed is, that PCIe clip right there. Now this board might have the new spring-loaded connector, so this one's going to be a little bit different. We're kind of just getting used to this, but you want to make sure that clip is disengaged when you're putting your card in, and then you should hear a little click or a snap or something like that when it locks into place. Just making sure everything's lined up. There's a lot of heat shrouds on this board, so you want to be careful when putting your card in. You can see Zach has laid the system down. That's something that we like to do here, especially on these larger cards. Just kind of let gravity be your friend. That way you don't have to like hold it still, worrying about it falling out before you get a mounting screw in or something like that. Benny G over on TikTok, should the 2 8-pins be on separate power slots? So we're assuming you mean separate power lines. So if you have 2 separate power lines, yes, go ahead and use those like what we're doing with here. Now if you only have 1, it's okay to use that pigtail that's on the end of it. Just using 2 provides a little bit cleaner power delivery, a little bit more stable power to your card. Like I said, you definitely can use the pigtail, but if we have the option to use a separate power line for each one of those connectors, we do. Is that a small or medium case? I would say this is a medium case. Still fits a full ATX motherboard like what we're using in here, but it's not super tall. It's not going to take up a bunch of space on the floor or on your desk or something like that. I'd definitely say it's a medium. I'm sure if you looked at the actual designator, it would classify as a, not a micro ATX. It just slipped my mind. We'll think of it. Mid tower.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
That only took like a minute.
Faster than mine. Faster than mine. They do have a similar model.
They do have a similar model. This is a Fantex XT View case if you are interested in it. They do have an XT Pro as well that has a little bit of a different front panel. This is the XT View. These do come in black and white.
Oh man, I love it when a plan comes together. God,
oh,
it looks so good. Yeah. So then all you get to see is just that little bit, and that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Nice. Just take you.
So we are just tying up a couple cables here, and we'll be near the end of the build. This XT View came together pretty quick today. Got anything planned for the weekend, Zach?
Take down Halloween.
Hang on, take it down. Yeah.
Taking down Halloween.
You guys got a lot of decorations up and stuff like that?
We do, and then we went and saw Bare Naked Ladies last weekend.
Oh, that's right.
And I got sick and stayed home Monday because it was bad. Bridget promised she wouldn't wear that perfume again. so
You just leave those decorations up till next year.
yeah, it just adds to the spook.
Yep. All right, so we're pretty much at the end of our build here. We're just going to get our side panels back on, get everything plugged in, and we'll get it turned on and see it all powered on. I really like the RGB strip on this case here. You're gonna see it when it's on pretty easily, but it's right there at the bottom, yeah, right where the side panel goes on top of, so it'll look really nice. Cool mind. How do you overclock a PC? So that you do that in the BIOS of your machine. You can adjust voltages and clock speeds there. If you're new to it, take your time. You don't want to just jump it up. You want to baby step it up, make sure it's stable. But there's a lot of good literature for that on YouTube and stuff if you really want to get into it.
It's a lot like
You're right, Andrew.
mixing potions in Skyrim. You know, you do it just a little bit and you wait for that blue screen to happen and then you back it off a little bit. But that's Skyrim. So just remember that's your computer. So
All right, so we've got this thing buttoned up. We're gonna go ahead and get it powered on.
oh, look at that eyeball.
Yeah.
Everything's so bright.
So without our PC even on, this motherboard has that lighting there that you can see. That ROG Strix logo looks nice. Alrighty. There, so we'll give it a second here to get everything going.
Yes, everything is plugged into. Should all be on the motherboard.
So we'll just give it a second here. It's got a whole bunch of new stuff, so we've got to wait for the stuff to light up. But while this thing is getting running, we'll go over the specs one last time. So this is a AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D for our processor. We've got the CLX 360 AIO in black with RGB in there. For our motherboard, we've got the Asus ROG Strix X870E-E gaming Wi-Fi. We've got 2 sticks of XPG 16 gigabyte, 6000 speed in RGB. These do have the black heat spreaders on them as well. For our storage drive, we've got a single 2 terabyte M.2 NVMe drive from ADATA, the 800 gold model. And for our video card, we've got the PowerColor RX Radeon 7900 XTX 24 gig card. For a power supply, we've got the GameBeast 850 watt 80 plus gold Helios P2 non-modular. So we might have to get this plugged into our RGB software. When using new components like this, sometimes it can be hard to get things going until you get into the BIOS of the machine and start messing with it. So that's what we're going to do. We're already taking this thing to the lab anyways to run some tests. So we might have to update that software to get this all going.
That might be what's going on with them.
Never know what you're going to run into with new stuff, but we like doing it here. So that's going to conclude the show. We appreciate everybody being here. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Make sure to come back on Tuesday. Hopefully we'll have DJ back and y'all can say hi to him. So, all right, guys, have a good weekend. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, it's DJ Blue PDX with CLX Gaming, and we're live from DreamHack in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's go inside and see what's happening. debut of the CLX booth. It's the first time we've done one. As you can see, the team is right behind me, and they are taking care of everything we need. We've got gaming, we've got sim racing, I'm spinning tunes. What more could you ask for?
Never touches the ground. They want to do New York City area.
And CLX, they show up and they're showing love. They're right there. We got a record 1,700 viewers in chat yesterday.
Oh, what up, CLX? They provided all these awesome computers here. They did an amazing job, chat. They did an amazing job.
Thank you, Atlanta. Thank you, DreamHack. It's been 8 years that we've been doing this, and you guys have been very welcoming. So thank you guys very much.